Hi everyone, we've come to the end of term 2 and it's the June holidays. Over the past 2 days, I had the privilege to meeting some of you. I apologize that I'm unable to meet many of you, but I hope that the small piece of feedback regarding some of my observations of your child in my English classes and as well as what are some of the areas that they can work on. I hope that some of these pointers will be useful for you to help you understand or to know a little bit about how your child behaves as well as how he or she is learning in my class. All right. Okay, so maybe first and foremost, today I'm going to just touch on a few things. First will be some of my observations from SA1 examination. Secondly, I would just want to go through a little bit about what I've already given out to all the students for the holiday, June holidays. And thirdly, about some of the things that I've gone through with the class for the past 2 weeks. All right. Okay, so first and foremost, okay, when we look at the examination for English examination from P4 to P5, many of you would already know that there are a lot more components, there are more sections required in a P5 paper. And one particular thing that I've been focusing on will be actually the error checking, as well as how we can actually look at the passages in terms of if we are looking at just the exam paper itself, paper 2, okay, the error checking as well as how they can read for understanding. Okay, for the comprehension passage itself, I've done a lot of what I call it as a chunking, as in we just take paragraphs by itself, and each paragraph, you realize in my previous video what I've done is that I've asked them to highlight keywords as well as just write a few words or a phrase or a sentence to just summarize the main point of that paragraph. Okay, the main thing is that in P4 and P3, many of them, the passages are shorter and they find that it's easier to just read through once and then they just go straight to the questions itself. In P5s, some of the good practices will be to read through the questions. Read through the questions, highlight the keywords. What does the question ask of me? Okay, and of course, as they read through the passage, it's not enough to just read through once and then look for the answers. As you look for the answers, you highlight the where you think the answers are. It is important to reread the paragraph again. All right. So some of them in this examination, I noticed, in fact, many of them, they do not actually do the highlighting and writing of the keywords. Okay, this will be a good practice because it actually helps you to slow down your reading so that you can better understand the passage before continuing with the answering of the questions itself. All right, not to worry. Along the way, as we go on in the second half of this year, we'll continue to work on the comprehension part. All right, the second thing will be same thing for in terms of the closed passages. Yeah, many of the students, they struggle with the comprehension closed passage. All right. One of the recommendations I've made to many of the parents will be get them started on news articles. Get started on newspaper itself, the physical newspaper, or some of you prefer to read online news. Okay. Even if you read online news, it will be a good thing to get them printed out. I'll come to that later. Okay. And the third thing will be even just the broadcast news, be it on the radio or through the TV broadcast. All right. So as they get more exposure to the news itself, they will also pick up terms pertaining to various topics. And you realize that in the papers itself, in the examination paper 2 itself, you realize that information text such as news article, news reports, biographies, these do appear in the upper primary English papers. So getting exposed to news would be a good starting point to get them exposed to the various terms pertaining to different topics. For example, you have your natural disasters, you have your biographies of famous people, you have maybe current affairs. Okay, all these are possible texts for your closed passages. All right. Okay. So basically, these are the two areas that I want to talk a little bit more about in terms of the SA1 paper. Okay, now moving on, I would like to talk a little bit about the holiday assignment. All right. What I've done instead of, for my classes, instead of just giving them a practice paper, I thought that we need to focus on the reading aspect. Okay, although as cliche as it sounds like, we cannot run away from it, because that's through the enjoyment of the various texts, be it narratives, storybooks, fiction or non-fiction. This is where the children pick up, okay, not just information, they also pick up the authors of various styles. They also pick up, of course, different new words and vocabulary. Okay, so I've come up with this thing called the June Challenge, Class Dojo June Challenge. All right, and there are 5 main tasks that I ask them to do. I also understand that many of you have your holiday plans and all that, so this is not a compulsory thing. I just thought that for those who are staying in Singapore, or maybe they have some buffer time in between holidays, this will be a good thing to keep the children fresh through the holidays itself. Okay, so for the first task will be the reading challenge. What I've prepared for them will be to get them to read and read various books. So it'll be good for you to bring your child to the public library, if you may. During the holidays, the quota to borrow more books usually is much more than on a usual school day. Okay, so that means that you can borrow a lot more books. Yeah, so maybe if you are able to bring them on one or a few trips to the library, let them borrow. Don't restrict the children on what they like to borrow or like to read. Okay, so they can after they finish reading, they can write down the titles, the author, when they finish, the number of pages, and how they read the stories itself. Okay, so the reading challenge, how it goes is that for every book that they read, they get 2 Class Dojo points, up to a maximum of 10. Okay, so hopefully this is something that for them to work towards, so that they can get some points when they return back to school. Second challenge will be the book review challenge. Other than reading itself, for them to pick up 1, 2, or 3, again, they earn points through participating in this book review challenge. Okay, I've attached at the back in the subsequent page some book reports for them to actually to fill up some of their thoughts, and also some of the parts of the books to even to fill up these 3 pages itself. Okay, that is for challenge 2. Okay, challenge 3 will be the newspaper challenge. Remember just now I mentioned about getting your child more involved in reading of the news, because that will definitely help them be more aware. In fact, it doesn't just help them in their exam setting, but it also helps them to be more aware of the world around them, to make sense of the world. And sometimes it's good to have okay, sorry, I sidetrack a little bit. Also, not just in terms of the news, when we expose our children to reading of the news, right? This is where we can actually get them to form opinions, and also to help them to take different perspectives. It is important because this will, okay, if we are translating this to their exam, this helps them in their oral communication. In the oral exam, that will be the second component, where the conversations. Many of them have no problem answering to the point. If a teacher asks a question, they answer yes, no. But it's the elaborating that is important. How they actually support their opinions, and how they give different reasons, how they can share their experiences or what they have read elsewhere. And this is where, when they are exposed to different current affairs, or through the newspaper readings, this is where they have more to talk about. All right. So even as you look through, okay, let's come back to this newspaper challenge. So what they do is that they can actually cut out newspaper articles, or maybe they can print out something they read online, and I hope that they go to reputable websites, because nowadays there are many fake news websites. So this is another teaching point for your child. They guide them along to tell them there are some websites that are not too reliable. So what are some of the reliable websites? How do you tell that a website is reliable? All right. So for this, what they do is that they cut out the article, they read through, highlight or underline new words or words related to the article, or interesting words or phrases for them. For each of this article, again, I peg it to the Class Dojo points, so for something for them to work towards. All right. Okay, and one more thing about a newspaper challenge, and of course, if we look at our children as a whole, you realize that nowadays with so much information, it is important for them and for us as adults to guide them, to share with them the right values. What should our reaction be towards some of these current issues? For example, recently I talked to them about the couple who pushed the old man all right? So do we take the perspective, how do we support the couple who pushed the old man? Or is there another flip side of the story? Those who were videoing, who videoed the account but did nothing, are they in the right as well? So these are things that we need to talk to our children, so that we impart the right values, so that they will know how to react when they face this kind of situations. All right? Teachable moments. So you can just sit down with your child, watch the news together, or sometimes when we walk outside, when we see some things happening, we talk about this, and we ask about various opinions and how they reason out. Through these conversations, this will definitely help benefit our children. All right? Okay, so these are the third point for this holiday activity. And then, of course, there's the last one. It's very important. Now they're P5 already, 11 years old. It is very important for P5s to have some sense of how to plan their time well. We want to give them greater independence to build their sense of responsibility. So I have prepared this little thing on the last page, is to help them. It'd be good for you to go work through this with them as well. Is to plan the time. Okay, we have 4 weeks of holidays. How are they going to plan their time? Of course, we are not going to pack it all with revision papers or with revision materials, but it's good to have a balanced approach. That means we set aside time to play, we set aside time to enjoy ourselves, we set aside time even when we go on holidays. Okay, so you can even it'll be good for you to get your child involved even in simple chores at home, okay, because we want to develop in them this self-motivation, this sense of responsibility within themselves. So it's not just towards the schoolwork. Many parents say that, okay, they don't have to bother with anything, household chores or anything, just focus on the schoolwork. There's some value in it, but I feel that there's even greater value when we actually engage our children to take ownership even in their own homes as well. All right, so the last part, the bonus, is for them to plan. It doesn't have to be elaborate, but as they write down what are some of the things they want to achieve, so as they keep track of it, they can put this up somewhere visible, and whether at the end of the day, end of the week, as they review it, whether they have achieved the things they have set out to do, this will be a good plan to have. All right, and yes, I share with the kids again. Okay, let me just switch this over. All right, I've shared with the kids that this is not compulsory for them to do. I know there's many of you just want a quick break and just, sorry, I missed out one last thing. Of course, I assigned some MC online exercises, grammar and vocabulary, that they can go online to try it out. And as parents, if you have a parents account, if you're not too sure, I've already posted in Class Dojo how you can actually access your account information to access into MC online. Your kids can actually try out some of these exercises. I've assigned quite a number, but it is not compulsory. Not compulsory for them to complete every single thing. So they can just complete a couple, and that'll be sufficient, that'll be good. All right, and again, I pack it to the MC Online points, something for them to work towards. Hopefully it excites them a little bit. All right, so coming back to just sum it all up. All right, so this holiday June challenge is just something to help them to ensure that they are still continually reading, and of course some simple practices through the MC Online platforms in terms of grammar and vocab. All right, last but not least, even as we look at the children holistically, it is important that we continue to give them the emotional support at home. Okay, so do encourage your child, spend time, even this June holidays, if you are able to. Your words of encouragement will mean a lot to the children. I've also conducted a short survey to find out how the children, their environment and their work habits are like at home. So some of them, they share that they have a conducive environment. They find that sometimes their siblings are too noisy. They don't have a quiet corner at home. These are basic needs that our children will need. And so if, let's say, you don't really have a nice little corner for them to work, it'll be good over the June holidays to maybe look out for some corner in the home to just make it a nice place for your child to study. All right. Then of course, as they are growing up in P5, Many of them are growing up, experiencing more of friendship issues and all that. So it'll be good for you to also to spend time to chit chat with your child and just help them understand and also recognize the feelings that they have. Sometimes it may be hard for them to express their feelings. Sometimes they may feel pressurized because of the exam results. But it's important for us to continually support them. Their emotional health is important as much as their academics, or if I might say, is even more important to them. Yeah. So the little bit that you can, the little bit of time you can, the little encouragement, words of encouragement that you give to your child, it will matter a lot to them. All right, so okay, I've gone on a lot in this video, and I hope that you have picked up something that is useful for you to help your child along the way in this P5 year, this transition year, and also leading up to P6. All right, I wish you and your family wonderful holidays and a great break ahead. All right, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.